pre-dawn stars still glimmered when Rowan Hale crested the final switchback of the Carrion Range. Below, the first pale light revealed Sky Valley's sheer cliffs, jagged walls of rose and granite that dropped into a mist-filled basin. The air was thin, carrying the scent of pine resin and cold stone. Rowan paused, adjusting the straps of her leather satchel. Inside lay her falconry hood, curing salves, and the carved wooden box bearing her mentor's final gift, a single eagle feather. Each step down the narrow goat track sent pebbles skittering into silence. Rowan drew a steadying breath, recalling the legends of the Arrowan tribe, that their bond with the golden eagle was older than memory, a pact between earth and wing. Now, after years of drought and outside hunters, the eagles had vanished, and with them, the tribe's spirit. Rowan had come to restore both. At the valley's mouth, carved wooden gates stood beneath a canopy of prayer flags faded to pastel ribbons. 2 sentries in embroidered cloaks barred her passage until Elder Mira regal and stern emerged from the circle of tribal elders. Myra's silver-threaded headdress, woven with eagle down, caught the dawn glow. Rowan Hale of the Skyward clans, she intoned in the Arrowan tongue, voice resonant as a drumbeat, you seek entry with wings upon your breath. Show us your heart is true. Rowan bowed, lifting her satchel and revealing the wooden box. Inside, the feather lay nestled on crimson velvet. This feather, Rowan replied, fell from my own mount's wing in a trial of trust. It carries the promise that I speak with respect for sky and earth alike. I offer it to you, so that together we may summon the eagles back to your valley. She extended the box forward, eyes meeting Myra's. Silence stretched as the sun's first rays touched the cliff faces. The elders exchanged solemn glances before Mira reached down and lifted the feather. She held it aloft, the flags above snapped in an approving breeze. With a slow nod, Mira plucked the feather and wove it into her sash. The valley breathes again, she declared. You may pass. But remember, this land demands honor of both bird and handler. As Rowan stepped through the gate, a sudden cry split the air, a lone eagle's scream from high above. She stopped and watched as a dark shape swept along the cliff rim, its wings wide and unwavering against the sky. Behind her, the elders raised their arms in a silent blessing. Rowan felt her heart lift. With the journey's end so near, she knelt on the dew-damp grass, pressing palm to earth. May our wings find each other soon, she whispered, voice carried on the wind. The valley exhaled around her, ancient stones resonating with the echo of that distant cry, and Rowan sprang to her feet, ready to restore the bond between people and eagle, spirit and sky. Dawn's first blush still lingered on the cliff walls when Rowan led a small band of Arrowan hunters to the foot of Eagle's Ridge. The air was crystalline, carrying the faint tang of thawing snow and pine resin. Rowan laid out a simple offering, strips of freshly cured venison and bowls of sweet juniper berries, on a flat ledge where generations of eagles had nested. She retreated to the shadow of an overhanging rock, motioning the hunters to stillness. Hour after hour, they remained motionless, eyes fixed on the empty sky. As the sun climbed, Spindrift danced off jutting granite, and the valley's silence weighed heavy. Then, with a sudden hush, a lone juvenile eagle appeared, a broad, bronze-tipped wing slicing the air in a graceful arc. It landed a dozen meters from the offering, talons clinking on stone. Rowan controlled her breath, whispering in Arrowan under her breath, "Welcome, child of wind." The eagle cocked its head, amber eye glinting, and inched forward to inspect the venison. With each cautious nip, it grew bolder. Rowan pressed a finger to her throat in the universal sign for quiet, and the hunters relaxed their grips on their spears. When the ravenous tenderness of hunger overcame fear, the eagle pecked at a juniper berry, its color a promise of trust. Encouraged, Rowan removed her falconry hood and stepped into the open. The juvenile froze, wings splaying in alarm, but Rowan dropped her gaze, shoulders loose, and spoke softly in flowing Arrowan, "I am your friend. Let me learn your ways." Extending a gloved fist, she offered a single berry. The eagle approached, tentatively brushing its beak against her glove before plucking the treat. A ripple of awe swept through the hunters. Throughout that morning, Rowan and the eagle danced a slow ritual. She guided it to perch on her outstretched arm, whispered low-toned chants of gratitude, and rewarded every gentle gesture with fresh morsels. The hunters watched as the juvenile's wariness gave way to curiosity, feathers smoothing, posture relaxing. At midday, Rowan tapped a carved staff on the ledge, a signal she would use to call the eagle in days to come. Returning to the hamlet, Rowan convened a twilight gathering in the central plaza. Under lantern light, she presented the eagle, now comfortably perched on her gauntlet arm, to the elders. With solemn reverence, Elder Mira draped a length of woven ribbon around the bird's ankle, marking its acceptance into the tribe's care. As Rowan whispered blessings in Erawan, flames from the council fire danced in the eagle's gleaming eyes, sealing a pact of trust between handler and sky. In that moment, the first threads of a restored bond were woven, promising that eagles and Erawan would once again soar together across Sky Valley's winds. A week after the successful offering atop Eagle's Ridge, a young scout burst into the council circle at first light, breathless and wide-eyed. "An eagle lies wounded in the Hemlock Gorge," he gasped in Erawan. "Its wing pinned beneath a fallen cedar. It cries for help." Rowan sprang into action, gathering her healing kit, wool blankets, comfrey poultices, pine resin salve, linen bandages, and was joined by Tala, the tribe's apprentice handler, and 2 village healers. They climbed the steep mule track into the morning mist, the canyon's walls closing around them in a cathedral of moss-clad stones. Fat cedar branches, snapped by winter snows, lay tangled among the ferns, and the scent of damp earth mingled with the sharp tang of pine. At the gorge floor, they found the golden eagle crouched against a boulder, feathers matted with resinous sap and blood. Its right wing was trapped beneath a heavy cedar limb, the humerus visibly fractured and the skin torn. Each rasping breath echoed like distant thunder. Rowan knelt behind a protective screen of ferns, her voice soft as wind through needles. "I'm Rowan Hale. I'm here to help you fly again." Using a sturdy forked staff, Tala levered the cedar just enough to free the eagle's wing. The bird shrieked, eyes flashing, but Rowan's steady presence and the healer's low song in Erawan soothed its panic. She cleaned the wound with warm spring water carried in goatskin waterskins, easing the eagle's pain. Then she applied a thick layer of comfrey poultice, known for its bone-mending virtues, followed by a coating of pine resin salve to stave off infection. With gentle hands wrapped in leather gauntlets, she bound the wing in linen strips, ensuring the splinted branches aligned for proper healing. As the sun climbed, the healers gathered fresh yarrow and willow bark to brew a tonic that Rowan administered via a fish oil treat, boosting the eagle's strength. All the while, the eagle's distant cries softened into low, guarded croons, its golden eyes tracking every movement. Rowan murmured a blessing in Erawan, "Shave Roma, fly on wind." They built a sheltered cradle from woven reeds and lined it with soft lichen, placing the eagle gently inside. Tala draped a wool blanket over the bird's back as the healers offered soothing chants, calling on the valley's ancestral spirits to guide the eagle's recovery. Rowan watched the eagle's chest rise and fall in more even rhythms, hope stirring in her breast. Over the next 10 days, the tribe kept vigil. Children gathered medicinal plants, elders sang protective songs, and Tala maintained the poultice applications. Each dawn, the eagle tested its wing, flexing against the linen wrap. Each sunset, Rowan and Tala shared quiet nods, signs of the bird's growing strength. On the 14th morning, Rowan led the healed eagle to the mountain ledge where they first met. Removing the bandages, she whispered, "Your wing is whole again." The eagle flapped its broad span, talons gripping the stone. In a burst of wind-laced power, it launched skyward, the valley exhaling as its silhouette traced triumphant arcs against the rising sun. Below, the Erawan watched with uplifted hearts, knowing their sacred bond with the golden eagle was not only restored, but stronger than ever. When Elder Mira trumpeted the start of the Great Sky Trial, dawn's first rose light gilded Sky Valley's cliffs in molten pink. Rowan stood atop Eagle's Ridge, the crests of her pack horses glinting through the mist below. In her leather gauntlet she held Kithara's jess, to which she had tied a slender cord bearing a carved cedar token, its surface etched with the valley's spiral motif. Across the narrow canyon, on the opposite cliff, Zara would await with the matching token, so that the two halves of Sky Valley's promise could be united in flight. Preparing for ascent. Rowan fastened Kithara's hood one last time and murmured the ancient handler's prayer in Erawan, "May the wind be your wings, the earth your home." With a gentle stroke along Kithara's neck, she secured the jess and stepped back. Below, rows of villagers, clad in feather-fringed cloaks and carrying braided banners, lined the edge of the precipice. Children perched on their parents' shoulders, breath visible in the chill air, while the elders beat a slow drumroll that pulsed like a heartbeat through the valley. The canyon's maw. Sky Valley's gorge yawned between the cliffs like a great open mouth, a sinuous river far below, mist swirling in its eddies, and granite walls etched with ancient petroglyphs of soaring eagles. A narrow wind tunnel channeled gales up from the riverbed, creating treacherous thermals that only a truly bonded pair could navigate. Rowan knelt and whispered to Kithara, "Trust the air, friend." The eagle settled into a crouch, talons gripping the stone, muscles rippling under golden feathers. Launch and flight. With a signal from Elder Myra's conch shell, Rowan released the Jess. Kithara leapt from the cliff's edge, wings opening wide in a perfect arc. For a moment, Rowan held her breath, then Kithara dipped into the wind tunnel, buffeting currents lifting her effortlessly. Below, cheers erupted as villagers watched the eagle carve a path through the swirling mists. Rowan raised her staff and traced Kithara's flight, lips moving in silent devotion to each wing beat. Across the gorge, Zara mirrored Rowan's actions. Her eagle, Solon, a broad-winged adult, caught the same updrafts, sweeping through the canyon in majestic tandem with Kithara. Between their talons they bore the wooden tokens, Rowan's cedar spiral and Zara's ivory-white stone, twisting together like yin and yang as the two eagles crossed paths in midair. Their bodies danced in synchronized flight, trusting each other's presence in the roaring wind. Delivering the promise. On the far rim, Zara reached out and retrieved Rowan's token with one swift talon, while Kithara landed atop a sun-warmed boulder to offer Solon's token in return. The two handlers stepped forward, pressing the tokens together until their carvings aligned, a perfect spiral within spiral. A chorus of hallelujah whistles rose from the eagles, echoing down the canyon in a living hymn. Return and ritual. As the eagles rested, Rowan and Zara climbed down to meet. Behind them, the valley thrummed with applause, farmers beating drums, women singing in Erawan, children shrieking in delight. Rowan slipped the united tokens into a woven pouch dyed with alder bark, tying it to the sacred prayer flagpole at the plaza's center. The fluttering flag caught the breeze, sending ripples of color across the mountaintops. That night, beneath the harvest moon, the tokens hung above the council fire, symbols of a skyborn covenant renewed. As eagles roost in cliffside nests once more, their soft croons blended with the crackle of flames and the murmur of blessings. In Sky Valley's hush, Rowan felt the valley breathe again. The great sky trial had proven that, when handler and eagle trust one another's hearts, even the narrowest divides can become bridges of wing and wind. The harvest moon hung low and luminous over Sky Valley, its silver light spilling across terraced fields and the stone-paved plaza where the entire Erawan tribe had gathered. Rowan Hale stood at the heart of the circle, her cloak patterned with eagle feather embroidery fluttering in the cool night breeze. On either side of her, the Sky Guardians, newly appointed apprentices in leather gauntlets and feathered sashes, held tall perches where the golden eagles rested, their broad wings folded, eyes gleaming like molten amber. Elder Mira stepped forward, staff raised high, and began the ancient invocation of wings in the deep, resonant Erawan tongue. Each word rolled over the crowd like distant thunder, calling upon the spirits of earth and sky. As her final syllable faded, the eagles shifted in unison, lifting their heads toward Rowan, as though ready to heed her call. Rowan extended her hand, revealing the carved cedar and ivory token pouch, its spirals now complete. With solemn care, she untied the pouch and pressed it into Elder Myra's waiting hands. "This is the bond we renew tonight," Rowan intoned, her voice steady though her heart pounded like a drum. "May it guide our people and our eagles, in wind and in stillness, for all our days." A hush fell as Elder Mira replaced the pouch in the ceremonial cradle atop the altar of carved rock. Then, at Rowan's signal, the Sky Guardians released the eagles, Kithara and Solon soaring upward in a graceful tandem. Their wings caught the moonlight in molten flashes as they danced the spiral of promise, twin arcs that crossed above the circle, weaving patterns of trust between cliff and cloud. Below, the tribe responded with the eagle's flight dance, long, measured steps around the plaza's circumference, arms raised in stylized wing motions. Torches set in iron sconces flickered like stars at their feet, and the rhythm of footfalls on stone rose in a living pulse. Children, bedecked in miniature feather capes, mirrored the elders' movements, their laughter bright as flutes, weaving the past and future into a single, joyful thread. When the dance ended, torches were lowered, and the feast began. Long tables heaved with spiced venison stew, roasted root vegetables, and fresh flatbread baked from the valley's first new grain. Rowan sat beside Elder Mira, passing bowls to the Sky Guardians and whispering words of gratitude. Above them, the eagles circled once more before settling on their night roost perches, their chuffing calls a lullaby for the valley. As the final embers glowed, Rowan rose to address the tribe. "Tonight we have seen wings restored," she said, "and with them, our promise to this valley. The eagles and our people will watch over each other, flying free, yet always bound by trust. She pressed her palm to her heart, feeling the rise and fall of her breath echo the valley's own rhythms. When the last spoon scraped the bowl, the villagers drifted upward toward their homes, their hearts light, their spirits unburdened. Rowan lingered by the altar, gazing at the spiral token, now aglow in the torchlight. The wind stirred the prayer flags above, sending a ripple of color across the granite walls. In that moment of perfect stillness, Rowan knew the bond of sky and earth was sealed anew, feathers of triumph marking a destiny reborn in Sky Valley's ever-watchful heights.